dark voice. Let me ask you something. Have you ever heard a story so powerful that it makes you question how entire civilizations can rise with unimaginable strength, only to be swept away by a single breath of wind, leaving behind nothing but silence and sand? Today, I want you to listen very closely because we're about to travel through thousands of years from the scorching deserts where the mighty people of Ad once stood with their heads full of pride, all the way to the dusty plains of America in the 1930s, where a disaster so massive turned daylight into darkness. If you're here right now, trust me, don't leave, because this story will pull you in and not let go. And by the end, you'll realize that history doesn't repeat itself. People do.
Before any modern city or skyscraper existed, there lived a nation known as Ad. And they were not ordinary people by any means. These were giants in strength, unmatched in power, capable of building structures so tall they cast shadows over entire valleys. They had everything: fertile land, flowing rivers, endless gardens. But with blessings came pride, and with pride came the downfall of their hearts. They mocked their prophethood, peace be upon him, when he warned them, laughed in his face, and with their chests forward and their voices loud, they said, "Who is stronger than us?" Imagine that level of arrogance. Imagine being so blessed yet so blind, convinced that no force, not even the heavens, could harm them.
But destruction never comes suddenly. It begins quietly, like a whisper you refuse to hear. The rain stopped, the rivers dried into dust, the crops became brittle like thin paper, and animals fell lifeless under the sun. Their land was crying for mercy, yet their hearts remained harder than stone. Instead of humility, they held on to their arrogance even stronger, saying, "We will survive anything, we always have," never realizing that the biggest disasters begin when humans think they are untouchable.
Then came the day they thought was their salvation. A huge black cloud started rolling across the horizon, thick and heavy like a mountain moving in the sky. The people cheered, believing that rain was finally coming to end their suffering. But what they didn't know was that this cloud wasn't carrying mercy, it was carrying their punishment. Allah describes it perfectly. It was a wind bringing painful punishment. The cloud wasn't a gift, it was the beginning of the end. That wind hit them with a power no historian can fully explain. It was so fierce that it ripped entire houses from their foundations, twisted massive trees like pieces of straw, and hurled people into the air as if they weighed nothing. For 8 days and 7 nights, this storm screamed across their land, a roar so terrifying that even mountains trembled. The same people who proudly said, "Who is stronger than us?" were thrown to the ground like hollow shells, their bodies scattered across the desert. When the storm finally calmed, there was no laughter, no life, no voices. Only silence and endless sand where a mighty civilization once stood. Now here's the part that will make you think. Because thousands of years later, in a completely different world, a nation on the other side of the planet faced a disaster that carried the same warning, the same arrogance, and the same lesson. And that nation was the United States of America. Before the disaster, America's Great Plains were overflowing with crops. Farmers were earning more money than ever. Wheat fields stretched endlessly, and people used to say, "This land will feed us forever." They plowed deeper, expanded more, and never questioned the limits of the earth. They believed nothing could go wrong, that the soil would always produce, that the sky would always bless them. Just like Ad, they became comfortable and then careless. Then the rain stopped.
1 year passed, then another, and then another. The land cracked open as if the earth itself was breaking apart. Crops died where they stood. Farmers stared helplessly at empty fields, and the once rich soil turned into a powdery desert. And then the wind arrived. Not gentle, not soft, but carrying millions of tons of dust, forming clouds that stretched from horizon to horizon.
Imagine waking up at noon and the sky is so dark you need a lamp to see. Imagine dust entering your lungs, your food, your bed, your eyes. These storms were massive, huge black walls rising thousands of feet high, rolling like waves across the land. People thought the world was ending. Children fainted on their way to school, animals suffocated in their barns, and families sealed their doors with wet sheets just to breathe. Then came Black Sunday, the worst storm of them all, a giant, moving mountain of dust that swallowed everything in its path. Just like Odd, the wind became a weapon. By 1935, more than 3 million people abandoned their homes. Entire towns vanished from the map. Children died from dust pneumonia, families were starving, and farmers walked hundreds of miles in search of work. A nation that once said, "We can never fall," was brought to its knees by nothing but dirt and wind. The earth they mistreated rose against them.
Ad was destroyed. America was humbled. 2 different times, 2 different worlds, but one identical message. When people become arrogant, when they abuse the land, when they forget gratitude, warnings always come. Sometimes quietly, sometimes violently.
So when you hear the wind outside your window, remember both stories. The city buried under sand and a modern nation buried under dust. And understand that nature is far more powerful than any human pride. If you want day 2 of this hidden and shocking series, just comment, "Continue the series," because the next story goes even deeper and will shake you even more.